to say while we're here is about this gel and to tell the world about it. Where we're about to go, I hope that you are dreaming big. I hope you have goals, but I will tell you, if you're not telling people about the gel, somebody else is going to tell them. I got a call from a friend of mine and she said, hey girl, I am in Mexico on vacation and somebody has your gel. And I'm like, wow. We're not even open in Mexico, and someone took that bottle with them on their vacation. I've watched builds, I've watched hypergrowth, I've seen momentum happen, but with a product that was completely subpar to what we have. The professional world gave us the validation. Now it's time for us to be the validation for the product on an everyday average user. And I hope that you guys will find how you're comfortable sharing the product, but don't miss an opportunity in sharing the product. Every single body needs the Lactigo on their body. So we are committed to put Lactigo on 1 billion bodies, and I just need to know, are y'all in on helping us with that mission? Okay. So I know that some of you have been introduced to the gel, but we do have some that haven't, and I can't think of a better person. Now, I will tell you, once she gets started, y'all may have to because she gets going and she's so passionate. She's not only my business partner, she's a friend, she's a mentor, she's a leader, and when you've had success at this level, you just pray for people to come into your life that cause you to go to that next higher level. So we've been hanging out for the last few days and we've been putting on this rap music and we've been dropping it like it's hot. And thank you to Lactigo, we can get back up, you know? So we've had a really good time. I would love to introduce my partner, my friend and mentor, Ariana Kane.
So we didn't know we were doing this, but you should just get people to introduce you. You just sit back there and like, wow, right? She has to say nice things about me. So it's so great. We knew we were here tonight, but we weren't sure if it's just going to be a mix and mingle with the people that are local, and we're trying to, obviously love community. But then we heard that there were some new guests here, and you probably want to hear some things. But if I have your permission, I just really don't know how to speak any other way than just as a friend, like how I would speak to people that I know and love. Do I have your permission to speak that way? It just feels a little bit more warm and friendly. But I was asked to kind of talk a little bit more about the product, and then I can introduce someone who's going to talk more about what that means from an opportunity standpoint. But how many of you are say I was never looking for anything? True, right? And yeah, you're it's not like you're out there going, so again, a lot of us aren't looking for another anything. Who wants just another skincare line, another thing? But what struck me was when I heard about the story of Lactigo, and that's really what struck me, is I think that how many of you love a really great story? It's and who loves to share good news? 4 of you. Who likes to share good news? Yeah. You guys, I came from a family of 6 kids, and we actually couldn't wait, right? If you heard good news, it's like pushing each other back through the screen door to be the one, right? To share the good news. That's really how I feel about this product. So I have a fitness background. I played basketball in university, and I was always into fitness nutrition. I'm a holistic nutritionist, and so just on the side, that stuff matters to me. So I'm going to keep it simple tonight, but I'm going to talk to you about a guy. When I heard him speak, the holistic nutritionist in me was like, oh my gosh, how many of you seen the movie in Matrix when they start downloading the things and he's like, more. That's how I have felt since I've learned about this. But someone was messaging me, over and over and over again. You're like, that guy's always selling me something. I'm not going to get back to him, right? And then he's like, you have to listen to this if for no other reason than at least you know, right? And you can say no, but at least you know. And I was like, oh, that was a good one. That was a good one. Okay. So I listened to it, and it was a story you can't ignore. There's some things you hear that you're like, if that's true, because I wasn't looking for another anything, and if the stories of hope and healing that I heard were true, if even a fraction of the hope and healing that they were talking about in this product was true, and it was patented, and it was proprietary, and it was as powerful as they say, I don't know anything better than patent and proprietary and powerful. I was like, that's a pretty good, trifecta happening there. So I just knew that I needed to hear more thankfully I did. And so all I want to say to you guys on that note is congratulations. Thank you for coming. I've just learned that being open in life happens to be a lot more fun than being closed. And I've just learned that closed minds can cost a fortune, right? Because I think there's a difference between what we think we know and knowing. And when you think you know is not the same, then it affords you not as much in life to say yes to. So thank you for being here, if nothing else, to be open. And if nothing else, because I love people who just support the people they love. Don't you want to know what your buddy's all excited about? Yeah, like for real, like just come and see what they're excited about so you better understand. And it has nothing to do, but again, they love you and then now you know. Like, I'd rather know. And so I got some more information about this. But when I say it's proprietary and patent, I just want you to know this product, who has some? Okay. Oh, and we know you have some. Boxes and boxes. Okay, throw it to me. So when I saw this, and it's this little bottle. What I want you to know is there's really only 2 ingredients in this bottle that they're called active ingredients. But 2 of them are absorbing in your skin. So it's a transdermal gel, and that's very different than topical. There's a lot of things out there that you guys will know. And again, I'm not here when something's so great. I don't need to say why anything else is not. I just want to make an association in your brain as to why that's different. So transdermal, it means this thing is going to depths in your body that nothing other than just getting your bloodstream. It's not the same. So when I heard a story about this, basically, if I was to do a TV series on this bottle, and I don't say that loosely because there might be a production series about the story of Lactigo, that's how good it is. But if it was to start, by the way, I talk fast.
So just tell everybody to listen faster.
And you guys, I talk fast, and I have learned when I was in university, it took me this long, and I took psychology in university, and in psychology they did a study, and they said that people that talk fast have high intelligence. I was like, this is what I'm saying. this is what I'm saying. You're like, where? I'm a genius. So then I learned about Audible, and you guys can listen 1.5 times, right? And they said that people can listen faster. So go boy, go girl. But if we were to do a show on this bottle, I would start the first episode with a really hot red hot high heel, going upstairs to like an Italian pharmaceutical lab, and this would be a true story, by the way, based on true story. So this was formulated in an Italian lab, a young, brilliant scientist, and she was basically just trying to find something at the time to help with lots of things, but restless leg syndrome, some diabetic neuropathy, ways to help healing and hope from a transdermal point of view. And do you guys know what the word eureka means? This is actually a word, right? The eureka is actually a thing where you do what you're set out to do scientifically, right? It's a eureka moment. They had a eureka moment. So she goes and does it, and it works. It worked. It did exactly what it's supposed to do. And basically, they put it up for sale at one point. And a guy in Europe at the time who would go and try to shop the latest, greatest thing saw that this gel was for sale, and he saw the list of things that it did. And he goes, I bet you there's a guy that I know in Canada, Vancouver Island. I'm Canadian. Any other Canadians here? How lucky am I? So it's the cameo appearance. So he's in Canada, and Paul calls up Kevin, and Kevin says, hey, I got this gel I think you'll be interested in. Kevin, being an almost pro hockey player his whole life, just athletics, he reads this list of all the things it can do, but you ever notice how you're only looking for the thing that might affect you? Like, we just do this? And he happened to see one of the things that it did said buffers hydrogen, which buffers lactic acid, right? You know when you do squats and the thing once you want to puke, the burn in your legs, he's like, buffers lactic acid. He's like, I don't know, Let's just see if that's true, send me some. So he sent him some, he rubbed his legs down, and most hockey players know exactly what their quads feel like after a certain game, and he was, later in life at this point, and he went and played his first game of hockey, and he instantly felt lighter. He knew something was going on with his legs, and then after the game, he couldn't believe that his legs were still so fresh, so he circled around the nets to try to get the burn that he normally did. Didn't happen, he couldn't believe it. The next day, he goes to play pickleball with guys half his age, and these guys were like so sore from the night before, he's like, weird. Right? I'm not. And then he put it on again to play pickleball, had the exact same experience, and he knew in that moment, he called it the next Gatorade. He's like, so he calls back Paul, get me the stuff, who else have you given this to? He said, nobody, please make that stay the same, give it all to me, I want to trademark it, I want to patent, and then the next, 3 weeks later, he's literally in Italy with a translator, with the Italians, and he gets the IP to this gel. And Since that time, all I can tell you is we keep calling it a startup. Imagine having a startup company, but the product is not at all a startup. So this product has been around for 10 to 13 years, but it already has 1,600 athletic endorsements, celebrity athletic endorsements, NFL, NHL, MLB, you name it, like the UFC, Orlando Magic just did their own thing on it. Like there's so many people using it, and it's done exactly what's done. So ESPN called this the best kept secret. Here's the problem. When you're a competitive athlete and you have something that gives you a competitive edge, how many people do you talk about it? Right, like the first guy, Eric, so Eric's a Canadian hockey player, Kevin got this back, he's like, wow, I better give this to people or get this word out. So he calls his buddy Eric, who's an NHLer at the time, suffering with cramping, right? Imagine, the last inning, it's overtime, you get called out on the ice to go do it and you can't because you just got massive cramps in your calves, seizing, right? So he'd always been looking for something. He tried it, and he was so impressed by it, but guess what he did? He put duct tape over it. He put duct tape over it because he didn't want anyone to know, but he started sharing it with his little team, and his team's doing super well. And then all of a sudden people get traded, and they start telling their teams to tell their teams, and then all of a sudden people are knowing about it, but everyone's having the same experience. I will only share that with you guys because this product is actually not up for debate. What it does is not up for debate. It works on all the ways that they thought it was going to work, but what they didn't know would happen is in those 10 years, the athletes are having, welcome, who got you front row? So the athletes, it does what they said they were going to do on the athletic side. What they weren't anticipating, that's even more exciting, is that this 2 ingredients that I told you are in here have so much power to heal and help the body in every other way than just buffering hydrogen. Remember I told you I had a list of things it could do? The one that popped out to him that it does that. But all of a sudden they were watching, he's like, holy cow, like this is like, I'm not allowed to say the word miracle, but people feel this way, right? And what's really amazing is that it's one thing to watch that same production show. Of course we want to see an episode where Usain Bolt or some Olympian runs 1/100 of a second faster. How exciting, right? Wins a gold, fun. But we don't get choked up or teared up the same way that you have someone who has facial paralysis or so much chronic pain that they don't know and they can't get off a couch and then suddenly they can, right? We love this stuff, popcorn, like to bring me more. And so that's why when they started seeing hundreds and thousands of examples like that, they're like, oh, this probably has a bigger place. Here's the trouble. When it does all those things that it does from a holistic, natural product, Big Pharma tells you you are never allowed to say that a natural product heals, treats, mitigates, cures, anything, ever. You can't even allude to it. And so what are they supposed to do? They can't put it on their website. It's already got all these athletes. It's already still called topical sports gel. How many people would know to put this on their body as a topical sports gel unless their friend and their friend and their friend and their friend and their neighbor, and they go, hey, I know someone who could use some relief. And they're like, hey, we should probably talk about this going direct sales. Or whenever a product requires an explanation or when a product has a great story, it will never do that on a shelf. And so here we are on a Thursday night in Salt Lake with you guys. And so we'll just tell you about a little guy named Chad Macias. This is the last science part I'm going to talk about. When I told you we talked to a really smart guy, this product has 2 ingredients called carnosine and magnesium. When I told you that I knew a lot about nutritional stuff, I still do, and I thought I did. But I knew a lot about magnesium, but I didn't know a lot about carnosine. I knew a lot about the predecessors to carnosine, like beta, things you take to try to build carnosine in your body, but I hadn't ever heard about carnosine. I kind of went down a whole rabbit hole, and I don't know if you're going to thank me later or curse me, because you will too. You're going to go down a carnosine rabbit hole. But carnosine is an ingredient that all I'm going to tell you is if you start to just go into Google, ChatGPT, and put in carnosine, benefits of carnosine, and you name it. Whatever your thing is, whatever someone you love is, whatever someone's suffering from, just have fun with it. And go find out what carnosine does in the body. And there are thousands of research done on carnosine in PubMed. So PubMed.gov is just, if you're writing this down, PubMed.gov is a site that has all these different research papers that have ever been done on vitamin C, glutathione, vitamin D, you name it, and you can go research this. And here's the exciting part. When I say that this is category creating, did I say that yet? Unique, proprietary, category creating. This isn't the first transdermal gel on the market. It's the only. Okay, it's the only transdermal gel on the market. And when you go and do your research on carnosine, even though you'll see that it's super powerful and everyone's going, this is the bomb, there is no known ailment or dis-ease in the body not bettered by the presence of carnosine. And yet, every one of those that know that, we're still getting that research from oral supplementation of carnosine, where less than 5% was being absorbed. So imagine when there's 95% absorption through the skin to muscular levels, to nerves in the place where it needs it, of the delivery of this carnosine, and that's the magic. So we can't say this product does it, but carnosine is magical in the body, and you now have a way to deliver it. Imagine a world without ingestion or injection, right? And this is kind of where we're at right now, and so the future is really bright. When I told you this was involved in the UFC, fighting, there was a guy named Jeremy Stevens at the time that was the #1 UFC fighter in the world. There's a bigger guy named Chad Macias. If you want to chat GPT anything, go and Google a guy named Chad Macias. Chad Macias, M-A-C-I-A-S. Chad Macias is quite literally a genius. He actually refers to himself, he's like, oh, this is my autistic side coming out. He's like, he is a world-renowned expert in human performance optimization. So he works and trains Special Forces, Navy SEALs, and all the Olympians, the Olympic athletes, to the point where, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Olympics a long time ago, there was a season where they're all breaking records. But ever since they finally found a way to kind of stop or at least measure doping, you know, back in the day, they doped a lot of things until they could catch them. And when they actually had ways to kind of stop this, there has been few to almost none world record breakers since they had this technology where you could kind of stop people from doping until.
What was his human what?
Human performance optimization. So he's an expert in human performance optimization, which means you're working with all the world's best that actually need to be that way. And you can imagine, from biomechanics to diet to everything to how to have these guys exercise. And he's at this UFC gym training with these guys. He sees the world's best rubbing himself down with Lactigo. And he goes, what are you doing, man? What do you, oh, muffin. I know I have that effect on people. So he's rubbing himself down with Lactigo, and Chad says, what is it? And he says, I don't know, man, but I heard that it buffers lactic acid. And you can imagine, smartest guy in the world goes, as if, right? What snake oil are these guys selling you? So he's looking at this stuff, and he takes it and he uses it. He tries it. And he said, you guys, all I can tell you is I thought for sure there was no possible way this wasn't illegal. There's got to be something in it that's human performance enhancing. It's got to be something, because there's no way that I should have been able to get off a couch and do what I did, because this Chad Macias guy I told you about isn't just an expert. He was a 2-time Olympic athlete in 2 different sports, so he kind of knew his body and what it could do. And then he himself called, remember that Kevin guy from Vancouver Island that did it? He calls up Kevin and is like, bro, like what's the deal? And where's the science on it? Kevin's like, yeah, so we don't have much of that. And Chad's like, well, that'll change. So Chad's been the guy that, you know, went around the patent route and did all the research things that they needed so that people like him would have stuff that would validate and justify what this has done. So Chad happens to be our chief science officer, and I want you to know that when we first met him at a conference in January, he showed up differently than I expected, because, you know, he's a chief science officer and he shows up in camel shorts, a neck tattoo, and Air Jordans and a black hoodie. He looked like Eminem on the stage, right? And I was like, wow, you're not quite what I expected, but cool. And but he got up there and he's like, you guys, here's the truth. I'm here because I'm bored. I'm bored of training athletes. I'm bored of special forces. I already know that it does with that. But what I want to spend my life doing is, what could this do for the biomedical research of what this is for every ailment you can imagine? How do we do things that can actually help people, you know, in a way? So that's why we're here. It's exciting. You know, startup, they've just pivoted in that instead of it being available for retail, you know, to sports and stuff, they're like, let's try this word of mouth, direct sales, social selling, affiliate kind of model where people get to share. And there's 2 reasons I love that. One, because it's the best form of advertising in the world. We all know this, a trusted referral. But also because there's a lot of brands in the world that are a look at me brand. And what I love most about them transitioning to this way of distribution is suddenly it's not a look at me brand, it's a come with me brand. right? Imagine not just building a $1 billion brand, but a come with me $1 billion brand, right? That we can, and we need people to march. We need people who love to share good news, right? And kind of bring some hope with some things. So we're going to transition over because I want to say 2 things about that. The world of business is only ever about having a product or a service that people need or want. You're in business, right? You got a product people want, you got a service people want, you're in business. But I believe that business is only about making someone's life better. That's it. And if you can do that well, then great. But here's the thing. I shared a lot with you tonight that hopefully just your consumer hat on, like the consumer side of you goes, okay, I'll try it, right? Sure, sounds great. I'll try it. But I also think that if you can take that hat off for a minute and go, well, if business is about having a product people need or want, this kind of sounds like something people would need or want. Let me put my business hat on for a minute and go, okay, so what does that mean for opportunity? And before I bring up Clint, I used to not like the word opportunity. How many of you guys have heard, do I have an opportunity? Do I have an opportunity for you, right? And you're like, ugh. Anyway, I used to not like the word opportunity because it just, to me, it started to have, but I couldn't find, I'm a big word girl. So I'm like, I love what words mean. And I was like, I need to find a better word for opportunity. But trust me, there ain't one. I tried to find one that I was like, no, it doesn't do it. So I was like, you need to reframe how you think about this word. And so I looked up opportunity and I wanted the definition of opportunity. And the definition of opportunity is a set of circumstances that make it possible to do something. A set of circumstances that make it possible to do something. And here's what I love about that. I'd love to know you all personally, truly. I love people, but I don't. But here's what I do know that we probably all have in common, is that you want something. I don't know what it is. Better finances, better health, better community. You want to feel like a part of something. I don't know what it is, but you probably want something. And then the question you have to ask yourself is, are my current set of circumstances allowing me to do the something? And if they're not, that's only you know that, right? Like if they're not, then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, I could do nothing and nothing happens. Or I could do something, so something can. Right? Who knows? So with that, I was like, okay, well, there's an opportunity here if you want that. And with that, there's no one better to talk about opportunity. What has happened is I didn't know Chastity before this build, before we kind of got introduced to each other. But every once in a while, it's later in life. Who else knows this? Later in life, sometimes you spend a lot of your life going, am I weird? Right? Am I? You know, and you're like, you just feel, and my son actually always, my older son always says this. He's like, hey, yo, I'm just built different. Right? I'm built different. And sometimes you feel like you're built different. And all of a sudden later in your life, you find people, you're like, have we known each other forever? You know, and you meet people, that's how I felt about Chastity, and then you meet people who are super entrepreneurial and they've been down this road and they just think different, they're built different, they dream different, and and so Clinton has been an unbelievable influence in the build of this company. He's growing a fast team and a massive team, and he leads them super well, but he's also has a history of doing super well in this space, direct sales, and what direct sales really is you lead people and you build people, and he's here to talk to you a little bit about his experience and on the business side of things, so Clinton, come on out. It helps to hold on to this. It's like a little bit of a, yeah, there you
go. How are you guys doing tonight? You guys excited to be here? How many of you is that the first time hearing the story of Lactigo for yourself? I'm super grateful to be here tonight. I'm also grateful that these two women, Texas and Canada, gave their time here tonight to actually bless us and to share with us. I actually got introduced to them in January of this year on a Zoom. I haven't got to meet them personally, so this is my first time meeting them, but when somebody takes time out of their own life to actually bless lives, to actually share a story that could give you that opportunity, a chance to change. How many would say that you're not at where you expected to be at this point in your life? Yeah. How many did you have quite a few twists and turns through that journey that all of a sudden you're like, okay, there's got to be something different? And my journey's a little bit like that. I grew up out west, Nevada. My grandparents' ranch is in Elko. I'm a Winnemucca boy. Moved up to Utah at 18 years old. You know that red U. I come up here to play for Rick Majerus. I got hurt. Basketball was my life. That was the only thing. I didn't feel that they were teaching me in school the things, that whole built differently. I was like, they're not really teaching me what I want to do. I don't want to be owned by somebody else. I don't want to go to work for somebody else, but I didn't know what else to do. Growing up on a cattle ranch, I know how to go to work. How many of you that blue collar that just know how to go to work? Like, show me what to do, I'll just do it, right? And then, so I became an underground gold miner. I did explosives in the underground gold mines for a lot of years. I loved it because I got to blow crap up on a daily basis. And that's kind of my personality. It's just kind of like intense, okay? 2008, anybody remember 2008? Still feel the pain a little bit because we're kind of like in some of that pain right now through the economy and what's going on. Well, 2008, I lost everything. I moved from Denver, Colorado to Kansas City, Missouri, and I was living in somebody else's basement. And my mother-in-law at that time said, you got to think about going to school and figuring out what you want to do. And I'm like, spend money to figure out what I want to do? I'm like, no way. She goes, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I'm going to figure out what people do to create wealth. I had no clue what that meant, but I was going to figure out how people created wealth. Wealth to me wasn't that I needed to be the biggest billionaire, millions of dollars, but I wanted my time back. How many of you are you understanding more and more that time is your most valuable asset and you do not get it back? You do not get to choose tomorrow, but you get to choose today. So 2009, February, I got introduced to a guy that consistently for a decade had made between $100,000 to $200,000 a month. How many would take that check? But how about this? He's sitting in front of me. I'm broke. He's making this kind of money. His background is he used to be a landscape maintainer. So he's just a blue collar worker, right? He owned a company though. And he got introduced to this industry of direct sales. And he goes, if you give me 2 to 5 years, if you will work side by side with me, I won't give you a handout, but I'll give you a handout. I'll show you how to change your life to where you're not dictated by anybody else in your life. And I said, what do I got to do? He said, you just got to spend $1,000, get yourself involved in the company, and just be willing to go to work at least 15 to 20 hours a month. I'm like, I got all the time in the world right now because I'm not doing anything but living in a basement. I mean, it was the worst feeling in the world as a father to be living in somebody else's basement and not be able to put a roof over my kid's head. That is my responsibility as a father. But the other thing that I was missing as a father as I was an underground miner, guess how much time I got with him? I'd leave for 60 days and come home for 7. Leave for 60 days, come home for 7. I did that for years, day in and out. My last day before I got back in that car and drove and then got on a flight and went to wherever I was going 6,000 feet in the ground, I hated it because I didn't mind the work that I did. I was leaving the people that mattered most in my life. And now I'm getting presented opportunity in my face. But I didn't know that the opportunity was going to come with me looking at myself square in the mirror and saying, are you willing to do this when it gets hard? We got started in this thing. We got started in this opportunity, and I started figuring out I didn't know anything about life. I didn't know anything about really communicating, talking with people, and I started going through a lot of personal growth and development. And good thing that these guys went through it themselves because they started giving me books. They started giving me audios. They started helping me understand that I needed to change my mindset. I was already a positive person, but I didn't understand that I needed to think differently, that I needed to speak differently to myself. And that's the process that I first started going through. Well, we were in pre-launch in this company, and 3 months into it, I was the 60th person that joined, and I had no clue. And 4 months into it, as they launched the company, I launched as a 0, couldn't even get one person to say yes to me. I was like really horrible, okay? If any of you guys think you suck at something, you don't suck at it. You're just figuring out how to fail faster. And I got my first guest to come to a meeting like this. There was about 200 people in the room. The rows were divided. There was a guy that I brought sitting right there. Well, my prospect came drunk and high and got knocked out in the meeting and taken outside and put on the front bench for the cops to come come get. Well, the next day, all the leaders in that local area called me up and said, you're not welcome to any of the meetings going on in the local area, and you're not welcome to bring anybody either. Again, how many of us have faced in our personal lives judgment from others around us? Well, I want to tell you right now, no one gets to choose who you are. And what I love about this is that mentor that said, give me 2 to 5 years, he didn't look at me that way. He said, I was serious. If you will give me 2 to 5 years, if you will put all your effort in, it doesn't matter what other people say, I will show you who you can become. And it changed every facet of my life, who I started becoming. Well, I went to an event out in San Diego, California. Now, Missouri, San Diego, dead broke. How are you supposed to get out there, right? Because they said the only reason why to miss an event would be a death in the family, your own. I was like, well, how am I supposed to get there still, right? That was kind of like, I figured out, I owned one possession that was worth about 12 grand. I sold it for 3, got myself a ticket. I went out to that event. I sat in chairs just like this, and I watched people walk stage. I watched people talk that were no different than you and I. And that started my journey into this industry of full belief that there's nothing that is impossible. When I came back home from that event, I got a phone call. So I'd been out of work from November of 2008 to now June. No work, nothing, not bringing any income. There's 18 people living in the house that I'm living in, and I get a phone call to come back to work. It's a $250,000 a year plus job. And I told the guy to lose my, I said a lot of things to him, and I said, I have a multi-million-dollar business to run, and I hung up. I had a lot of belief, didn't I? Everybody else in the house, what do you think they looked at me like? I was stupid, right? Over the last 16 years, one of my best friends and business partners that lives down in St. George, Tony, when I met him, he lived in Brigham City. We've been in over 19 countries, 140,000 people, and been able to help millions of people around the globe. But it wasn't us. We first started the process. In December, he got introduced to this product, and the end of December, beginning of January, he said, I just want you to sit down and look, because the journey that we were on, the game had changed on us, and they'd changed the rules, and it started affecting our lives and our family. Now, no matter what, we're all still gonna go through stuff in our life, but it's how we handle it. And I got introduced to this product, and Ariana said it, if that's true, there is nothing that's going to stop this. This is more than $1 billion idea. But it's not just the $1 billion idea. If you have something that truly changes every facet of every human's life, you have a huge opportunity. Because this isn't just about making money, or this isn't just about business. It's about people, and it's about their lives.
Tell them how much you made in your last company.
A lot. I made, within 3 years, so 26 years old, by 30 I was making over 50. By 32, we had reached the top of the company, the top 5 income earners, that the average income was over $100,000 a month. We had 2 positions. And we didn't do it by accident. It was an underground miner and a truck driver. It was about, and you know what 99% of our group was made up of? Every average day people from every facet of life. Because when we sat down with them, it wasn't just about a product, it wasn't just about the opportunity, it was about you. It was about the people's lives that we can change. Being a part of something, opportunity meant more to us. 2 guys that were willing to get in a Toyota Prius. I'm 6'2", he's 6'5", and we folded ourselves in there in every snowstorm and every rainstorm, everything from Washington to across to
Arkansas.
where we met Patty. I mean, we just wanted to do things different. And that opportunity gave us everything that we needed for what was to come when we were going to be given this opportunity here. And this opportunity is actually even quite a lot different. We have a product. I'd never in my life seen a product that you give it to people and 80 to 90% of people within 15, 20 minutes have, I mean, there's some testimonies that are even in here, but that we've heard in 15 to 20 minutes of life-changing, people being debilitated for 26 years, putting this on in 15 minutes, feeling things that they haven't felt in 26 years. That's life-changing. That's something that you have in your hands that is a gift. So the entire thing is a gift. And then when we're going through this process of launching, and then we stop launching because we have to transition, and then we have to let's say, put things in order, and then we go through this process. Now we're relaunching again. Product's been out. Product's always stayed the same. And now we're in a position, well, before we launched this commission structure and this direct sales, we got introduced to a guy by the name of Bill Starkey. Now these guys have gotten to sit in a room with him. I haven't yet. I'm looking forward to that day, because you hang out with 5 millionaires, you're pretty likely to become a millionaire. You hang out with 5 billionaires, But you hang out with 5 drunks or 5 druggies, what do you become? You are the combined average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that's what I was gifted in this life, I truly believe, is that I was able to be encircled with individuals that understood true leadership. Leadership doesn't stand above people. Leadership stands side by side with you, guiding you all along the way. He's one of my best friends in the world, and he showed me how to change my life. And that's how I ended up 9 months into my first opportunity, got introduced to Tony, who became one of my best friends in the world. He has guided me, he has helped me, but we've stuck side by side and been able to help people change their life. But as we got introduced to Bill's comes from a background of what I got taught in this industry of direct sales, about truly developing leadership, truly helping people. This industry of I'd say, multi-level or network marketing has kind of got a feeling to it, hasn't it? Especially in Utah. You can actually throw a rock from this building and probably hit 4 companies within a mile or more, right? Because word of mouth is the fastest way that anything grows. But what's happened is they've developed these commission structures that creates a lot of breakage to the company. And they've created points to dollar, to all of this, to where now as Bill comes in, keeping it dollar to dollar, and being able to put a commission structure that's more in place like a financial institution to an insurance agency, direct sales. We're very familiar with that here in Utah. How many solar companies are here? How many pest control companies are here? How many kids from our families go out and do summer sales? And they actually go out and build a book of business, knocking doors, to build a contract level to where they can get a bigger percentage the more business they build, right? Here's the thing. A lot of those companies are building a subscription business, but they're not paying those door knockers a subscription model. They're just paying them outright a commission and a higher contract level. So I want to talk a little bit about the commissions of going out and sharing this. You need to get this on people. I'm telling you right now, there are 2 kits in this, but there's upfront money to where it'll show up in your back office today, and 7 days from now, you'll be able to transfer it to your bank. There's upfront commission. So as you go give this, I'm not saying give this. I can't keep product on hand. You know how many packs? I mean, how much product have we went through, right? You can't keep enough product for all the people, because I have one lady that's going and handing a bottle to their friends, and she says, you're going to use this for 2 days, at least 3 times a day, and I'm going to come back and talk to you in 2 days. And when they sit down, she goes, you're going to share your story with me. Every single person has asked her, what is in that stuff? Like, I've never felt like this. I've never slept so good, the pain in my knee, like all of the different elements that they're going through. So the commission structure, basically it's very straightforward, a 1-tier payout. Everybody that you personally bring to this, that order this product on a monthly basis, you have the opportunity of making a percentage from anywhere from 10% to 30%. 0 up to $1,999, you're going to get 10%. $2,000, you're going to make $2,000 and more, you're going to make 15%. $10,000 or more, you're going to make 20%. $25,000 or $25,000 or more, you're going to make 25%. And $50,000 or more, you're going to make 30%. So as you bring in this book of business, customers, associates, affiliates, word of mouth, as this goes out and all of those persons you bring in, you have the opportunity of making 30%. How many of you go to work right now and your boss says, we're going to pay you 30% of everything you do for the company? That'd be pretty good, right? Well, that's the contract level of the reoccurring orders. One of the first things when we get people involved in the opportunity, as someone buys the product as a customer or they decide to do it. Now, I want you guys to understand, there is no cost to get involved. You do not have to buy something to get involved to do business. You can start your business. But how many of you know of any business that starts a business without product in hand? Do you want to have product in hand? Okay, so if you have people that say, hey, I want a bottle, or I want 2 bottles, upfront commissions, it's going to pay you 20%. If someone decides to buy, which you can buy it every single month, if you want to, a $199 kit. This is a great pack for customers or people starting their business. There's $250 of product, and it's going to pay you $100. If someone decides that they want the $399 kit, I think it's the best bang for your buck, whether you're customer, because it comes with 7 5.1 milliliter bottles, 2 3.4 milliliter bottles, and 10 experience or shareable packs. And for a $399 pack, you'll make $200. So go find 5 customers, share this product with 5 customers or people that want to do this with you, and they buy a $399 pack. You get $200 per person. You just made $1,000. How would an extra $1,000 at the end of next week sound for each one of you? In this economy, with the cost of food, with gas and everything, an extra $1,000 works, right? So those are the upfront commissions that continue, that as you grow this customer or the business side of things, that you can help people make. Now, out of that $199 or the $399 pack, so they're paying 50% commissions to the person that actually sponsors that person. Then they're taking 25% of it, and they're actually putting it into that contract level. So now this pays you for a behavior that is phenomenal. Don't just worry about yourself, but go help other people share this product. And as you grow that, business is about constant growth on a monthly basis, right? So all of those packs, those kits that are coming in, they're putting 25%. So on $399, that's $100. On $199, that's $50, is going into that contract level. Well, if you have people that are getting involved in your business and you're at a 10% or 15% and that volume grows, how many would you like to make residual income consistently off people reusing a product? How many of you would use this product and it has actually changed your life? Okay. The commission structure is very straightforward. It's very simple. It doesn't cost, and I think that's one of the biggest hindrances that I've seen in this industry is sometimes it doesn't cost enough, because when someone goes and spends $100,000, what kind of effort do they put into it? But when it costs $399 or it costs $0, what kind of effort? One of the biggest things that I had to learn, and these 2 ladies that stood up here first and who's next had to learn this as well. You had to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. I was not the person at all that ever wanted to stand in front of a group of people, and I still don't today. It's not something that I plan to do, but it comes with the territory when you're leading and you're growing and you're helping people build their business. You show them that it is possible. It is possible for them to step out of their comfort zone into the uncomfortable. Does anybody have any questions about what I talked about with the commission structure and the capabilities here so far? Okay, with that, my time's done. I'm going to hand it over to a very close friend of mine. We've known each other now 15 years. When I met him, him and his wife were just having their first child. Now he can tell you he has an army of kids. And he can tell you how this industry not only changed his mindset, but helped him grow his businesses that he has today. It helped him to create what he's continued to create. He's an absolutely phenomenal leader. He inspires a lot of people. He has a ton of knowledge. I mean, when I met him, he's still jacked and ripped because he teaches people how to actually grow these things, right? And he knows how. He knows the science. He knows the body. And it was awesome to know that he's a part of this. I'm grateful because he doesn't just know that. He's continued to teach himself on the technical side, technology, and he's a phenomenal father. He's a phenomenal leader, and I appreciate him so much. So give it up for Sean.
It looks like we're passing the baton. It actually feels very lonely up here if you don't have something to hold on to. So, well, thanks, Clint, Ariana, Chastity. Thanks for coming out tonight. You guys have been incredible. I guess to kind of close this meeting out, I want to respect you guys' time. We're at that hour mark, so I appreciate you guys coming out. But I do want to share a couple things with you. As I sit back there listening, there's a couple words that come to my mind of the things that make a difference for me. And I guess I'll share a story before one of those. Earlier this year, I was on a vacation with my family, and I'm very busy right now between this with Lactigo and other things that I have with other businesses. And my mind's always busy with work and everything. And I took a step back and I realized, as my kids were at Disneyland, and my kids are there, we're enjoying that time, and there was a thing that hit me: I don't do this enough. Right? Has anybody ever felt that? Where that time with family is so critical and so precious and so short? My kids are young. My oldest is 13 years old. My youngest, when he says I have an army, I have 5 kids. Never thought I'd say I have 5 kids, but I got 5 kids from 13 down to 1. Yeah, well, you still have more than me. So I realized very quickly that my time is critical, right? And at that moment, there's the same word that comes to my mind today, and it's impact. I want to make an impact in my family. I want to make an impact in your life, whatever that is. I hope there's something that I can say, and there's been stuff that has been said today that has impacted me. I hope that I can make an impact. And when I got introduced to Lactigo, I realized very quickly that I can make an impact. Lactigo changed my world. In fact, I was on a phone call. So a lot of you have probably heard or seen Trent. I was on a phone call with Trent. After he just got introduced to Lactigo, he called me up and he said, "Sean, I've got something." Now, doing business with Clint in the past, right? I love the industry of people, right? And when Trent brought this back to me, you know what he said to me? "We're doing it again." That's what he said. "We're doing it again." I said, "Trent, what are you talking about?" He says, "We're going to go change a lot of lives." And when I said, "What is it?" and he told me what Lactigo was, all he said to me was, "It buffers lactic acid, and that's all I know." I said, "If that's what it is, I'm in." Now, that's an impact in my life because it meant something to me. This product over the last year of me knowing about Lactigo has changed so many lives. In fact, Carrie, I'm gonna call you on the spot because we were on a call last night, and she shared a story of what this did, and I just want to quickly ask if you'll stand up and share that story of what this did for your friend.
I live up in Eden, but I'm a natural supplement sales rep for like homeopathy and herbs and things like that. And there's a chain of stores here in Salt Lake called Sherlin's Natural Foods. I don't know if any of you are familiar with them. And so I call on them, and a month ago I went and met with the 2 buyers there, and I introduced them to Lactigo, and I left a couple of packets. And with the main buyer, I left her half a bottle. And I finally got a chance to see him yesterday to see what had happened. And the first thing, before I could even say, "Hey, you know, how's it going?" she said, "Where can I get more Lactigo?" And I said, "Wow, that's great. What was going on?" She had just barely started working out. She's in her upper 50s. And she had noticed that, well, she's doing a pretty tough workout. And the first time she worked her arms, she had done it so bad that she said she had to sleep and put a pillow on top of her to drape her arms over the pillow. It would hurt so bad. And then she remembered the Lactigo and put it on. And she was able to notice some improvement in that pain level immediately. So the next time she worked out, she thought, "I'm going to put it on before like Carrie told me to." And she said that was a game changer for me. I can work out, I can do more, I can do better. Now the other buyer was sitting right there, and I'd given her a packet, and she had kind of forgotten about it. And she said, "Did you bring any packets with you?" And granted, I try to have them in the car, but I didn't. And that yesterday morning or something said, "You need to put packets in your little information card in there." Anyway, I did, and she said, "I've got sciatica pain right now, and it is so bad I can hardly walk." And so she took it into the bathroom right at the store, put it on, walked out. I was taking orders in the stores of my product lines. And about 7 or 8 minutes later, she came up to me, and she literally had tears down her eyes. And she came up and gave me a big hug and said, "Carrie, what is this stuff? I forgot that I had pain. My sciatica pain is gone." And it only took about 7 or 8 minutes for her to do that. And so I just got 2 more customers to sign up right there. And this is a store that's very well connected in the community and knows a lot of people. So I'm very excited about this opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie. Now, when we talk about the word impact, you heard the stories. And for those of you who are guests, or for those of you who are part of this business, that's the business. The business is just go out and make an impact. I've never seen a product or been a part of a product that you can apply it or take it and fill it. It's always been take it because it's what you should do, right? I grew up in supplements. I started my first business and it was a personal training company, and that's all I did was promote and take supplements. I built my own supplement line. And you know what the thing that you taught? Just take it. And if they say why? Because it's what you're supposed to do, right? You take vitamins, you take the protein shakes, everything you do because it's just what it says it's supposed to do. But do you ever really feel it? For the first time in my career, something that truly makes an impact when you can experience it from just applying it. Science says it, but I will tell you the impact and what you can make in different people in everybody's lives, that's why we're here. That's why I'm here, is to make an impact, right? Not just my life, not just my family's life, but everybody that I can come across. The second word that I'll say, and I'll say this to everybody in the room, whether you are here as I'm investigating this, I'm here because a friend invited me, I have no idea why I'm here, right? This has been good information. I'm going to say one word, and it's decision. You have a decision to make, whether you're a part of this or not a part of this. Maybe you want to become a consumer, it's a decision. If you're a part of this, there's a decision to make to go make an impact. Go share this, right? We have a statement called just try it. The reason why we have that is because we just want people to experience what this is doing. Just try it. So if there's any advice that I can give to anybody tonight, just go out and make an impact. However that is, right? We are not here to put anybody's arm behind their back and say, join us on this business run. We're here just to share the information to allow people to make a decision. And that's all we're going to do over and over and over. Direct sales is an amazing industry. The fact that this has been opened up for us to go and open it to what Clint was talking about, the compensation plan, the ability to open this up, knee-to-knee, face-to-face, business-to-business, online with everybody we're connected to. We live in a technology world now. We're connected all over the world to way more people than we talk to every single day. We can make an impact in every single avenue because of this compensation plan. It allows us to do that. So our doors are open, and for the first time in a year, we can say we're officially open in a way that we can move this and get paid, right? It's here. So I challenge you to make the decision of whatever you want to do with this. If you're a part of this, make a decision to move. Make a decision to make an impact. That story with Clint, you hear that story from Clint, and I've heard it so many times, and I still think, if Clint can do it, I can do it. Right? It's the common thing, right? And it's not because Clint's stupid or anything. It's because Clint came from hardship. He came from a challenging time, and he went through challenges building it. And I've been through the same thing. I've been through the challenges, right? I've been through the heartaches. I've been through the challenges of family situations, right? Clint remembers this, I've had kids almost die along delivery, 3 months in NICUs, and guess what the industry did for me? It gave me residual income that I could focus on family. What matters most, right? When life throws you challenges, you want the ability to make choices, to have choices. And too many times with corporate America, we don't get those choices. So thank you all for coming out. We appreciate you coming out and spending your evening. If you have any questions, we'll hang out for a few minutes, answer any questions that you might have. But again, you guys are amazing, and we look forward to working with you and talking to you. Thanks, everyone.